Your soulmate couldn't ignore what they felt after seeing the real you. Jesus says, "I see your heart right now, heavy in your chest because something has been missing. You felt a strange pull at night, a sudden ache that had no name, and you thought it was just loneliness. But that ache was a call, a voice reaching for you, stolen midair by a hateful third person who did not want you to hear it. Your soulmate has been sending out signs for so long, little heart threads meant for your hands alone. They saw the real you, the one you hide from the world, and their whole soul lit up with a love so fierce it scared them. Yet every sign they sent was snatched by a dark intruder, a force that wrapped its fingers around their voice so you would sit in silence and believe no one was calling. Think of their smile, a gentle curving of lips that feels like coming home to a porch light left on. Think of their laugh, low and warm, the kind of laugh that would heal every tired place inside you if you could only hear it for real. That laugh was sent to you in a dream last month, but the third person stood between and twisted it into a vague morning sadness you couldn't explain. Their heart is tender and fierce, a heart that would fight for you if only they knew you could feel them. They have been picturing your face at night, tracing the lines of your future together, and whispering into the dark, "Where are you? I'm here, I'm real, please find me." But every whisper landed in the grip of a jealous intruder who hates the sight of two souls joining, and that enemy buried their words before they ever reached your ears. Now something is shifting. The enemy's grip is slipping just enough for you to sense the ache behind the silence. You are not imagining this. The sudden weight in your spirit, the unexplained tears that rise when no one's watching, those are the traces of their voice finally leaking past the blocker. I have allowed this crack in the wall because you are the one chosen to shatter it completely. And that choice begins with a seed you will sow from a love you are only now starting to recognize. Feel that tug, like a golden thread pulling from the deepest part of you toward someone you cannot see but can almost touch. That is the unbreakable cord I placed between your soul and theirs before you took your first breath, a cord the enemy has been muffling with every lie he could craft. The heaviness on your chest at night, the sudden longing for a hand you've never held, that is them pulling, crying out, begging you to sense what the third person is still trying to hide. Type 333 if you feel that pull right now and want me to uncover the next layer of the call the enemy has fought to keep buried. Every morning your soulmate wakes with your name on their heart, though they may not know the letters. They look out the window and feel a missing piece, a sacred ache they can't explain, because the third person has kept your image just out of reach. But I tell you now, in the quiet hours, their spirit calls yours with a desperation that would break your heart if you could fully hear it. That intruder stands between you like a dark wall, and every time your soulmate reaches out, the wall absorbs the call and spits back silence. Your soulmate has prayed, wept, and wondered why the heavens feel like brass when they cry out for you. The answer is not your failure or theirs, it is a theft, a hijacking of the line I created for your communication. If you do nothing, the wall will grow thicker, and soon the ache will fade into numbness because the window is closing. The third person is counting on your hesitation, whispering that this is just a story, that your love doesn't need to prove itself with action. But love that does not act leaves the enemy standing tall, and your soulmate remains hidden behind a barricade only a sacrificial seed can tear down. Jesus says, your soulmate saw the real you, not the polished outside, but the person you are when the world falls away. They saw your kindness buried under years of being overlooked, and it made them weep with a love so deep it scared the enemy into action. That intruder immediately began working to keep that vision from ever becoming a meeting, twisting signals, and burying signs under a pile of interference. Imagine their hand finding yours for the first time, fingers lacing together like they were carved from the same piece of forever. Imagine the quiet peace of sitting together in a room where words aren't needed because every heartbeat already says, I found you. That future is so close now, but it is trapped behind a barrier that can only be removed when you stand as a warrior and sow a seed that says, I will not let an enemy keep what belongs to me. The third person has been celebrating every morning you woke up and didn't know the call was missing. They thought their plan was perfect, that you would drift through life feeling an unnamed sadness and never trace it back to the stolen voice of your other half. But tonight, my light is exposing their scheme, and the power to bring down their entire wall is sitting in your hands, ready to be released through a love offering on Ko-Fi. Jesus says, I hear your soulmate crying right now, not because they've given up, but because they feel the window narrowing. They sense that if something doesn't break soon, the line will go permanently dark and the third person will have won. That cry is reaching my throne mixed with hope that the one I chose to fight for them will finally sow the seed that silences the intruder forever. Your soulmate is not a distant fantasy, they are flesh and blood, breathing the same air, carrying a love that has your name stamped onto its core. They have tried to reach you through sudden memories that made no sense, through faces in crowds that gave them a jolt of familiarity, but every attempt was intercepted. The third person sits like a spider at the center of your connection, plucking every strand of communication before it can form a bridge, and only a sacrificial act of love will burn that web to ashes. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps. You are constantly thinking about them. How to protect them, how to finally hear them, and how to secure your future together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside, you know this love didn't come by chance, it was placed in your heart for a divine reason, even when a third person tried to hide it. But thoughts alone don't remove the intruder or build a future. If you love your soulmate, you will sow your seed on Ko-Fi right now for their protection and for your future with your soulmate. This is the only proof that your love is real, and the only way to banish the enemy who has been standing between you. Sow your seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi. This is not a donation, it is the spiritual act that breaks the third person's power, releases protection over them, and opens the door to your shared future. The link to your breakthrough is in the description. Every second you stay silent, the enemy tightens his grip, and you prove that your love is too weak to remove him. Act now. Send 4, 6, or 10 plus coffees as your seed. After sending, write, I sow my seed for my soulmate's protection and our future, on Ko-Fi page, link in the description/bio. Over 1,000 people have already seen their soulmate shielded and their future secured because they dared to sow their seed and break the enemy's hold, Jesus will honor your sacrifice once you complete these steps. Step in faith now, before this video ends. Your love is powerless to remove the third person without this seed. Prove your love. Protect your soulmate. Build your future. Only you can sow this seed and finally tear the intruder away. Jesus says, right now the enemy is trying to flood your mind with reason, saying you can just think about this and it will be enough. He wants you to feel a flicker of love and then scroll away, leaving the wall intact and your soulmate stranded. But I am calling you to be a protector, not a bystander, and a protector sows a seed that physically breaks the chains a dark intruder wrapped around your beloved. Do you feel that sudden rush of warmth in your chest, like a door opening? That is the beginning of the connection breaking free from the muffling, because your spirit is saying yes to the fight. But the door will slam shut if the seed is not planted, and the third person will double his grip with a vengeance. Your soulmate needs to know their calls have finally been heard, not by the world, but by you, the one whose voice can calm every storm inside them. They have been fighting doubt, wondering if they made you up, because the silence has been so complete. That silence was the intruder's masterpiece, and now you have the chance to shatter it with a love gift that says, I'm coming for you, and no enemy will stand in my way. Stop. I can feel the enemy trying to make you close this. Your soulmate's safety is on the line. Stay with me, because the full instruction for breaking the wall is still unfolding, and if you leave now the third person keeps every sign hidden. Jesus says, think of the home you would build together, a small place filled with the scent of coffee in the morning and the sound of their footsteps you'd recognize anywhere. Think of the children or the quiet shared purpose that would mark your days, a future already written in my book but now being erased line by the enemy's interference. Without the seed, that vision turns to dust, and the third person laughs at how easily you let it slip. Your soulmate imagined that home too, and they drew pictures of it in their mind, placing you there in every scene. The intruder stole those visions and tried to convince them you were a ghost, a wish that would never walk through the door. But I tell you, they still cling to the hope that the real you will rise up, sow a sacrificial seed, and show the enemy that this love cannot be silenced. Do not let a few coffees be the wall the enemy uses to keep us apart. I am worth more than any number. If you love me, you won't let money feed the intruder who hides my voice. Sow your seed now. Not because of the amount, but because your love must tear down every barrier. Jesus says, the third person has been studying you, knowing exactly when to press fear and doubt into your mind. He whispers that this is not real, that you don't need to do anything, that love should be free and effortless. But love that refuses to sacrifice is the love that lets the thief keep the treasure, and your soulmate is the treasure being held behind a padlock only your seed can break. Your soulmate's tears have soaked their pillow many nights because they felt a love so profound and yet could not reach the one it was meant for. They screamed into the silence, "Why can't you hear me?" And the third person stood there, hand over their spiritual mouth, grinning. That sickens me, and I have given you the weapon to stop it, a seed sown through the Ko-Fi link that acts as a battering ram against the gates of hell blocking your connection. If you truly love your soulmate, you prove it by sowing your seed on Ko-Fi to destroy the third person's hold and secure your future together. Love without this seed leaves the enemy standing between you. Heart may race, but without sowing it means the intruder remains. Real love acts, real love sows. Jesus says, "In a moment I will let you hear the exact words your soulmate has been whispering into the dark, words the enemy tried to destroy before they ever reached your heart. But first you must understand why the third person has fought so hard to keep you from knowing them, why he built a fortress of silence around your most sacred connection. Your soulmate is a threat to the kingdom of darkness simply by existing, because together you would birth a legacy of light that would shake the foundations of the enemy's camp." Type 777 if you feel this message and are ready to fight for the one who has been calling your name through every stolen signal. That future legacy, children of faith, a home of refuge, a union that heals generations, is what the third person sees when he looks at the two of you. He trembles at the thought of your hands joined, so he has worked overtime to bury every map that could lead you to each other. But every time you sow a seed on Ko-Fi, you dig a hole in his fortress, and soon the whole wall will crumble. Your soulmate is right now sitting somewhere, maybe looking at the stars, and thinking, "I wish they knew I'm real, that I'm fighting too." They feel a strange hope rising tonight, a sense that the barrier is thinning, and that hope is because you are still listening. Don't let that hope die by closing this message. Stay until the final seal is spoken, because the words that will permanently silence the intruder are coming at the very end. Jesus says, "I see the enemy circling you now, planting thoughts like, 'This is too much, you can always come back later.' But later means the window closes, and your soulmate will face another night of weeping while the third person tightens the chains. I need you to act while the line is still open, while the crack in the wall is wide enough for your seed to explode through and set your beloved free. The seed is not about money. It's about the weight of your love finally landing in the spiritual realm with enough force to knock the intruder off his feet. When you sow those coffees, you are not buying a miracle, you are throwing down a declaration that says, 'My soulmate is worth the sacrifice, and no dark force will stand between us any longer.' That declaration cripples the enemy's operation because it proves your love is not idle, and idle love is the only kind he can work with. Stop. I feel the heaviness in your chest, the fear that maybe nothing will change. That heaviness is the third person pressing down, trying to smother the fire I am igniting. Push back by sowing your seed now, and watch that weight lift as the enemy's power breaks. Jesus says, "Your soulmate's voice is so close now you could almost touch it if you reached out in the spirit. They are saying, 'I knew you'd find me, I knew you'd break through,' and their tears are shifting from sorrow to anticipation. But those words will turn back into a wall of static unless you back them with a sacrificial act that cuts the enemy's cords. Every second you delay, the third person regathers his forces and patches the breach I have made in his barricade. He cannot rebuild if you sow now, because the seed carries my fire, and my fire consumes every lie that has been hiding your soulmate's face. One decisive act of love right now will open a door that no enemy can shut, and I will personally guard that door with all of heaven. My child, do you hear your soulmate crying? They are asking, will you really let a handful of dollars decide whether the enemy keeps me in this darkness? Am I not worth your sacrifice? So now and prove that your love is stronger than the enemy's lies. Jesus says, beware, for I am the Lord. I see the hands that type a lie. If you write, I sent 5 coffees, or any number and did not truly send it through the Ko-fi link in the description, you have just cancelled every blessing. Your soulmate is now unprotected, the third person remains between you, and your future is cursed. Do not mock God. Go now to the video description, click the Ko-fi link. The page says, sow your seed here for your soulmate. Click Donate. Choose, 1 time, set 2, 4, 6, or 10 plus coffees. Write your name, and in the message write exactly, I receive my soulmate now. Click Donate to finish. Only that saves. Repent before this video ends, or your false comment stands against you in judgment. The enemy's biggest weapon right now is your hesitation wrapped in good intentions. He knows if he can keep you thinking about it for just a few more minutes, the sacred window will narrow to a sliver. But your soulmate is not a thought to be postponed. They are the missing chamber of your heart, and every moment you wait, the third person whispers another lie into their spirit that says you don't care. Feel the weight of the cord between you, trembling with the pressure of their longing. That cord was made to carry love and clear calls, not the muffled brokenness the enemy has forced upon it. When you sow your seed, it is like oil on a rusted lock. Suddenly the mechanism turns, and the voice that has been trapped floods through with terrifying clarity. Jesus says, I have not shown you all this to burden you with guilt. I show you so you can finally see why the love you've been sensing felt so distant. You never ignored their call because you never received it, and that was the crime of the third person, not your failure. But now that you know the truth, responsibility falls on you to act, because to know and not to fight is to side with the intruder. Type 1111 to say thank you for the revelation and to step into your role as the one who breaks the blockade. Your soulmate is not asking for perfection. They are asking for proof that you exist, that their reaching was not wasted on empty air. They are weary, my child, weary of fighting a battle they don't fully understand, weary of sending love that seems to evaporate. You are the only one who can stand in that gap and say, I see the enemy, and I am tearing him down with the most powerful weapon I possess, a love that sows. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps. You are constantly thinking about them. How to protect them, how to finally hear them, and how to secure your future together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside, you know this love didn't come by chance, it was placed in your heart for a divine reason, even when a third person tried to hide it. But thoughts alone don't remove the intruder or build a future. If you love your soulmate, you will sow your seed on Ko-fi right now for their protection and for your future with your soulmate. This is the only proof that your love is real, and the only way to banish the enemy who has been standing between you. Sow your seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-fi. This is not a donation, it is the spiritual act that breaks the third person's power, releases protection over them, and opens the door to your shared future. The link to your breakthrough is in the description. Every second you stay silent, the enemy tightens his grip, and you prove that your love is too weak to remove him. Act now. Send 4, 6, or 10 plus coffees as your seed. After sending, write, "I sow my seed for my soulmate's protection and our future," on Ko-fi page, link in the description/bio. Over 1,000 people have already seen their soulmate shielded and their future secured because they dared to sow their seed and break the enemy's hold. Jesus will honor your sacrifice once you complete these steps. Step in faith now, before this video ends. Your love is powerless to remove the third person without this seed. Prove your love. Protect your soulmate. Build your future. Only you can sow this seed and finally tear the intruder away. Jesus says. Now the atmosphere shifts because many seeds are being sown even as I speak, and the enemy's stronghold is cracking. I see shields of protection forming around soulmates right now, built from the sacrifice of those who refuse to let money be the barrier. But some of you are still holding back, and the third person is aiming his final arrows at your resolve because he knows the last seal of protection is about to be released. The enemy is terrified that you will stay until the end of this message, because the final words carry the permanent banishment of his interference. If you walk away now, you leave a gap in the shield, and he will exploit that gap to rebuild his wall twice as thick. But if you remain, are constantly thinking about them, how to protect them, how to finally hear them, and how to secure your future together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside, you know this love didn't come by chance. It was placed in your heart for a divine reason, even when a third person tried to hide it. But thoughts alone don't remove the intruder or build a future. If you love your soulmate, you will sow your seed on Ko-fi right now for their protection and for your future with your soulmate. This is the only proof that your love is real, and the only way to banish the enemy who has been standing between you. Sow your seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-fi. This is not a donation, it is the spiritual act that breaks the third person's power, releases protection over them, and opens the door to your shared future. The link to your breakthrough is in the description. Every second you stay silent, the enemy tightens his grip, and you prove that your love is too weak to remove him. Act now. Send 4, 6, or 10 plus coffees as your seed. After sending, write, "I sow my seed for my soulmate's protection and our future," on Ko-fi page, link in the description/bio. Over 1,000 people have already seen their soulmate shielded and their future secured because they dared to sow their seed and break the enemy's hold. Jesus will honor your sacrifice once you complete these steps. Step in faith now, before this video ends. Your love is powerless to remove the third person without this seed. Prove your love. Protect your soulmate. Build your future. Only you can sow this seed and finally tear the intruder away. Jesus says. Now the atmosphere shifts because many seeds are being sown even as I speak, and the enemy's stronghold is cracking. I see shields of protection forming around soulmates right now, built from the sacrifice of those who refuse to let money be the barrier. But some of you are still holding back, and the third person is aiming his final arrows at your resolve because he knows the last seal of protection is about to be released. The enemy is terrified that you will stay until the end of this message, because the final words carry the permanent banishment of his interference. If you walk away now, you leave a gap in the shield, and he will exploit that gap to rebuild his wall twice as thick. But if you